Hi there, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and today I want to chat with you about academic standards and critical thinking, specifically how they work together in the classroom and what our role as teachers really is. I wrapped up a live webinar on lesson planning where we dug into standards and objectives, and I got a few great questions that I thought deserved a little follow up. So, one of the big questions I got was, how do I differentiate the standards? And this is something I hear from new teachers all the time. We're constantly told, differentiate your instruction. But sometimes it's not super clear what that really means. Here's the thing, we don't differentiate the standards. The standards are fixed. They're the benchmarks that all students are expected to meet, and those don't change. Just like your certification exam has a passing score you have to reach, academic standards are set in stone. What we do differentiate is our instruction, how we teach, the strategies we use, and the ways we support our students in getting to those standards. So picture this, you've got a seventh grade reading standard focused on informational text. That's the target. Now, some of your students are already there. They're reading above grade level, they've got the vocabulary, and they can breeze through those texts. Others might be right on the edge. We sometimes call them bubble kids, and they need a little extra push to fully meet the standard. And then you've got students who are really struggling, maybe due to gaps in reading fluency, vocabulary, or comprehension skills. What we as teachers need to do is figure out what each student needs to help them grow. We use assessments, those little check ins we give throughout instruction, to see where our students are and what kind of support they need. Maybe that's small group work, maybe it's one on one intervention, maybe it's giving them additional resources. For some students, it might even mean providing materials in their home language so they can access the content and think critically in a way that's meaningful to them. Now, I get it. You've got 25 kids, maybe more, and the idea of differentiating for every single one of them every single day, it sounds impossible. And honestly, you won't be able to perfectly differentiate all the time. None of us can. But what we can do is get into the habit of looking at our students' progress and focusing in on where they need the most support. It's about doing the best we can, not about doing it perfectly. Something else that came up in the webinar was a question about English language learners. Specifically, how do I differentiate from my ELLs who can't think critically? And I really want to pause on this because this is a huge misconception. ELLs are critical thinkers. Just because they're still learning English doesn't mean they can't think critically. It just means they might not yet have the language skills to express those thoughts in English. But their ability to analyze, question, and engage deeply with content is still there, often in their home language. I actually made this mistake myself when I was a new teacher. I had students in my biology class who had just moved to the US from Central America. I assumed they didn't understand the science content because they weren't fluent in English. But when I finally checked in with the paraprofessional who was working with them, she told me they completely understood what I was teaching. They had already learned those concepts in their home country. I just wasn't presenting it in a way that worked for them linguistically. So the big takeaway is this: never lower your standards. It's not fair to the students, and it doesn't set them up for success later on. But do provide the scaffolds and the supports they need to reach those standards. And remember, all your students, regardless of their language, ability, background, are capable of critical thinking. It's our job to help them access the content and grow. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're interested in diving deeper into this kind of content, I have plenty of additional resources available on my website at kathleenjasper.com. Be sure to check them out. They can really help you on your journey. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm sharing tips, updates, and even more helpful content over there. Just search Kathleen Jasper and join the community. If you found this episode helpful, please follow, rate, and share the podcast. It really helps spread the word and support more people like you. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.